Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter card game review. Today's game of the tabletop is a game called Kingdoms of Erden, King of the Mountain. It's made by Timothy Ollinger. It's for 2 to 4 players, about 10 and up to play the game for about 15 to 45 minutes. In the game, you're going to get a set of cards in your hand, and you're going to be playing onto a discard pile, attempting to beat or overcome different factions of different players playing. When you play a card, you're going to take an action, and your objective is to get all of a single type of card, or up to 35 points of a single type of card, into your hand. As soon as you do that, you win the game. The game is played over a set of different turns, and the game ends immediately once the player is able to accomplish their goal. Let me go ahead and show you what the game looks like and how the cards are played. Alright guys, so here's the contents for Kingdom of Erden, King of the Mountain. It comes with a rule book, it comes with wild cards, and it comes with 3 sets of 3 different colors. And as you can see, the sets range from 1 to 9, and they all have the same card. They're just a different artwork and a different color. So this is what you basically get, and every single one of these has an ability unique to the number, as well as the wilds, all able to defeat all other cards, as well as each one of them also having a unique ability. Alright, let me go ahead and talk to you about a turn and how the cards work. Okay, so that's the contents of the game. All you do is take all those cards, take them and shuffle them up in here into one single deck, just like that. And then you're going to give every single player 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. After that, you take the rest of the remaining deck, set it down, and take a card off the top of that deck, and that is your discard pile. That's where you're going to place your card. Now, after that, the first player is going to go by taking all the cards into his hand, and deciding if a card in his hand can beat that card. Now, any card can beat a wild, but if it was a different card, maybe let's say here it was a yellow 5. If a yellow 5 was put down, then you would have to beat it with something higher, like a red 6, or red 8, sorry. Now, when you beat a card, you have to play a card of a different color and a higher number. So if it was a red 3, you couldn't beat it with a red 4, but you could beat it with a blue 4. Also, if on the first turn, if you play a card off the top of the deck and you personally can't beat it as the first player, you have to take 2 cards from your hand and put it under that card, under the first card, and then draw a card and pass it to the next player. After that, it passes turns, and players continue to try and beat the card in the middle to be the king of the hill. Let me show you a couple turns of the game, and see how it works. Okay, so we've set up for a 2-player game, and this is each of the players' hands right here. There's 7 cards in each hand. We've got the deck of cards here, as well as the one that was flipped over to be used as the discard pile. You would ignore this effect, it doesn't matter, it's just referring to the number and the color. If this was the first player, his objective would be to try and beat this card, because then he can draw to gain rewards. Now realize he's got a lot of red cards in his hand, so he wants to keep red to get up to that 35 points to win the game. So a good card to play would probably be this 5 for him, because he can't play these yellows to beat it, because yellow can't beat yellow. So you play this blue 5, which would beat the 3 yellow, and it says discard this card to defeat cards ranked lower than 4, or wild, or the lower rank card from this faction to increase the value temporarily. Okay, so we don't need to do that. We're just going to do the basic thing, which is discarding it. And then he beat that card. He takes 3 cards from the top of the deck. He looks for a red, he doesn't find one, so he'll go for this blue just in case the same event occurs, and he'll put this into his hand. After that, he takes the cards. Maybe he'll put them on the bottom. And the next turn begins. It's now this guy's turn, and he wants to go for blues, obviously. So he's going to look for a way to try and get a blue. Perfect, a wild card. This one says he can exchange this card for any character from the discard pile on the top. So he would do this, put this card in, and he doesn't get to draw any cards from here. He just gets to use the ability. So only wild cards that you do their effect. You don't get to actually gain any rewards from them. And we passed on to the next player. So this guy's got a lot of blue cards. So he would then go ahead and see what he wants to play. Maybe he'll play this 2 here because it's really low. And that would beat that wild. And once again, he can look for cards. Oh no, we got 2 of them here. He's going to take that one. Now he'll take these and probably shuffle them into the deck because he wants that 8 again. Okay. And play would continue. Now realize too, whenever a 9 beats something, it lets you draw 2 cards. So if this was over here, and he played the 9 to stop this little 2 here, he would just take 2 as a reward. That's what 9s do, so you don't get to draw the 3. It's every other card other than wilds and 9s. Wilds have their ability, and the 9s let you draw 2. And you're going to keep playing back and forth, until somebody gets 35 points of the same color faction in their hand. That player would then instantly win the game. Okay, so that's the idea of how you play the game. There's one last thing that's very important. The King of the Mountain basically the King of the Mountain mechanic in the game. What's going to happen is if a player plays a number or a card, and the other player afterwards cannot beat that card. So for instance, I don't know, we'll say that I played the blue 5, right? And my opponent, the person after me, cannot beat this card with any cards in their hand. They are then forced to give me 2 cards of their choice from their hand, and then they can draw a card, and that ends their turn. So that's a good way of getting more additional cards if you can figure out what your opponents have in their hand and how you can actually make them get forced to give you cards. The other aspect too, which I mentioned a little bit before, but if you can't beat that first card at the beginning of the game, it's the same aspect. You have to put 2 cards underneath that first card and draw a card and pass turn. So that's the idea of the King of the Mountain mechanic in the game, and that is how you play Kings of Erden, the King of the Mountain. Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it. Alright guys, so that's what Kingdom of Erden, King of the Mountain, is all about. Simply drawing your cards and trying to beat the card on top and become that King of the Mountain so that players are forcing to give you cards. Or also just searching through the deck with either the 9 or the wilds or simply beating another top of the card to draw cards and try and get all the cards of the color that you need up to that 35-point threshold. A really, really fun game and very fluid. Now, a couple caveats to begin with is, first of all, there is another lose condition, which is if every other player runs out of cards, or runs out of cards, they lose. And the person who's left alive with all the cards, or with the cards in their hand, is the winner. But that never really happened in all the playthroughs we did this game. We played quite a few. That being said, it doesn't matter all that much. I guess it's one of those things that if it ever did happen, then that would be just a way to explain it. But the game also really works and flows. It was very confusing to figure out how the rules of this game went, because this was all the rules, and we needed a lot more clarity. But once we got all of them, and I'm sure that once the Kickstarter is fully funded, the rules are going to be much more laid out, because like I said, this is a prototype version of the game, prototype stuff, and so, you know, usually things get a little better as time progresses. However, the game itself is very fun and very fluid. It feels a lot like a style of Uno and that kind of stuff, but instead you're going to have abilities and powers, and you have a lot more tactical actions in the game to where you can say, okay, well, I need these red cards, but only my red cards can beat this card, except for this wild card, which I want to save to pull out more red cards. What do I do? Well, you got to make those hard decisions. Or you have to think about what your opponent's colors are in their hands, like, oh, he's going for blue and he's going for yellow. Should I go for red, or should I stop them from getting the points they need because they're so far ahead of me? The game plays really quickly. In fact, I haven't actually played a game that takes more than probably about 20 minutes, even at 4 players. And when I originally started playing, I'm like, this game is never going to end. That's what I thought, based on the rules and how I was kind of understanding it. In fact, it did end, and it worked really well and fluidly. And it was a very simple concept to grasp that, you know, certain people are going for certain colors, and you need to either stop them or do what's best for you. And you have to take that teeter-totter and decide what it is you want to do. Either way, though, I really enjoyed Kingdoms of Erden, and I really am excited to see the Kickstarter go through. I wonder if they're going to add any additional cards, because in some of these cards it talks about zeros, and there's no zeros in the deck, so who knows what new stuff there'll be. But for a very light card game, I think this game would be really worth checking out, and you should look it up on Kickstarter. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter card game review. If you like this video and like to see more, go ahead and check out the rest of our content here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. Subscribe! Do that like mesmerizing thing, black and white, making you subscribe. Also, go ahead and check out our website, unfilteredgamer.com, blog posts, giveaways, our big Kickstarter list, and more. And don't forget to check out Kingdoms of Erden on Kickstarter. It's a really fun little game, and there's a lot of cool abilities I didn't discuss because I wanted you to be surprised as to how they all work. Alright guys, our affiliates are over here. Go ahead and check them out. And we once again look forward to seeing you next time.